brings us to action items. 9.1, I need a motion for the approval of the minutes of November 21st, 2016, enclosure 9.1A, and November 29th, 2016, special enclosure 9.1B. Moved by Mr. Castaigne, is there a second? Second by Ms. Leading. Okay, any discussion? Any changes? Any edits? Okay, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention, motion passed. 9.2, personnel actions. I need a motion under 9.2A that the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education approve a leave for Carrie D'Annunzio commencing approximately April 20th, 2017 and running through, oh geez, my tape got cut off. Does anybody have the actual hold on you? Just bear with me.
Running through the remainder of 2016-17 academic year.
Yes, thank you. I need a motion. Okay, motion made by Amy, is there a second? Second by Mr. Olmsted. Any discussion?
There's a question, is this maternity leave?
For Mrs. D'Annunzio, yes.
Yeah,
Not sure.
yes, it says maternal.
Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Brings us to 9.2B. I need a motion that the Regional School District Number 8 Board of Education accept the resignation of Desiree Falavolita, effective January 20th, 2017. Motion made by Manny, is there a second? I'll second it. Okay, second by Mrs. Shea. Any discussion?
What does this mean?
That's
She-
back.
She had some family issues and was leaving.
What does this do to the Spanish part?
Oh, yeah, what you're, the vacancy, you have a.
We hired somebody to take her place, certified teacher.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Brings us to 9.3, I need a motion to accept and receive and file the following documents: a student activity report, enclosure 9.3A, the 2016-17 budget status report, which is listed above in item 6.5, cafeteria report, enclosure 9.3B, curriculum instruction assessment, instructional technology report, enclosure 9.3C, discipline report, enclosure 9.3D, and special education report, enclosure 9.3E. Motion made by Dave, is there a second? Second by Mrs. Mattio. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 9.4, a discussion and possible action regarding board meeting dates for 2017, which is your enclosure 9.4. This is we're obligated to give a schedule a year in advance as per state rules.
Obviously, this can be changed.
So I need a motion to accept the proposed meeting schedule as listed in enclosure 9.4. Motion made by Dave, is there a second? Second by Mr. Jacobson. Any discussion? Hearing none?
I guess I have just a quick discussion, and,
You read the minutes. I said you read the minutes.
well, I'm the one that brought it up.
Yeah,
so
no, you did.
I might as well just bring it up again, just so we can have a quick discussion. But it appears that every time we come to the meetings, we have things added to the agenda. I feel like some folks are, they don't want to add things because the meetings go late, and we all agree the meetings go sometimes 10, 11 o'clock. However, I like accepting everything that needs to be added to the agenda because I think it's important. We meet once a month. It's important for all of our voices to be heard. So I made a suggestion, because I don't think we're really ever out of here at 9:30. And I think at 9:30 there's some policy that, you're supposed to, close the meeting down or extend it. But I don't think we ever really close it down, which I'm happy, But should we consider adding, 2 meetings a month so we don't have to, vote no, we can't add things to the agenda, or we feel like we have to rush through things. Leaving at 9:30 would be nice for all of us. I would agree, but,
Ever.
the voice that, you know, we have on the board, and state what we need to state. And I don't want to rush through the agenda. So that's just my opinion, you know.
You know, after the last meeting and thinking about what you were saying, I know it's hard to make obligations with as many meetings as we have. One of the thoughts that I have in that kind of context would be a meeting for action items and a meeting for committee reports as a possible way of cutting the time in half so that we need to go longer, so that we would have one meeting dedicated to, you know, the first half of the agenda, the reports from the administration, and then maybe 2 weeks later, you have the action items for them. I don't know, but I'm just trying to figure out what is a way that we can take the agenda, because I don't know if we'd be able to, if we actually, I guess we could come up with a 24th agenda. If we did one
A lot of boards move their finances to,
Right.
And
Right, but I mean, in some of that's interesting, but I don't know if we'd justify a full meeting just for finance.
I think also,
I agree with you totally that we should be doing it for me. Now, just because it's not on this schedule doesn't prevent us from having it. So we can have special meetings that will cover.
I'm
I'm sorry.
I just have one comment, and, yeah, it's, we have meetings that can become protracted, because sometimes, there have been meetings where we've had 5 things added to the agenda. And I feel that we have to set some limits. The reason being, not just the length of the meeting, but the fact that our agendas are publicly posted, and there's a reason for that. And that is so the public is aware of what we're going to be discussing. And when you bring up, when a subject is brought up that is not posted, some people who may want to make comment or attend the meeting to see what was discussed or contribute to the discussion, like tonight, which was something that wasn't even on the agenda, but anyway. I think it's important for them to be aware, and that's why, and this is the only board that does this, you know, that we have other, I've been on another board of education where we have the same rule where you had to have a 2/3 vote in order to add something to the agenda, because, you know, it's considered, it has to be something that's serious, that needs immediate action, as opposed to something that just is up for discussion. So, anyway, that's the rationale behind limiting, adding items to the agenda that aren't posted.
I'd like to see maybe one night or one meeting per month for presentations. We usually rush through them, or we don't have enough time for them, and I think that that's a serious, loss on our parts when we have like 15 minutes and we're like, okay, move on, you know. So I think that in itself could be a meeting, even if we wanted to do just the upper part, 1 through 7, and do just presentations, allow for, but my thought is that we've kind of been talking about this at another meeting for a couple of years now, and kind of bouncing it back and forth, and I'm glad you've revived it, Susan. But if we don't schedule it now, I don't think we will. Like, it just, time gets by us, and we have other things going on, and if we don't get it on there, it just isn't gonna get done, and I'm afraid.
I think Amy has an interesting point with the presentations, because I was thinking 2 of them were, I don't know if I want to say controversial, but like not the information wasn't out there. Seemed like some of the first presentations were in program committee, and you know, and I think once information was shared more, certainly as things got more information about grading, and I think that the parents felt very comfortable, more than comfortable. They thanked the administration even, but I think that's a good point. Maybe if, you know, that had happened in this forum with the entire board seeing and not being rushed through, and the give and take of questions and the presentation, that could have been really more beneficial. And, you know, and I think when there is, we don't want miscommunication, people to be worried and fearful that, you know, wait a minute, we're watering things down and we're grading 1, 2, 3, 4, or that we're, you know, not going to have Latin or whatever kinds of things, you know, are kind of getting under. So I really like the idea of the presentations a lot. And I think a lot of times, I think of Lauren's presentations kind of get very quickly, and there's a lot in them. Those are well written, and there's a lot in those write-ups, and I know that people say thank you and point out some of the specifics, but to hear more about that, the work of the school and the instructional core, I think would be good. I'd really like to hear that, and I know we have all work, so then I think everything would have more dedicated time, because everything's important, as we know.
What I would ask is that you just take some creativity and look at the agenda, and if you have an idea or suggestion that makes sense, when we have the next meeting, we'll talk about it, we'll go through it and see what makes sense, we'll try something. And if it's not working, we'll change it and just go that way. And then once we get a system that works, then next year when we do our full schedule, if there's a pattern out there that works and it's working with everyone, we'll amend the schedule accordingly.
One of the things that we've done at work is done every 4 weeks.
I'm sorry?
It sounds really stupid, but rather than go for a specific, like first Monday or something, what we've done at work is done a rolling every 4 weeks. What it does is add an entire meeting to your agenda, but it's pretty easy to remember. Oh yeah, I'm 4 weeks out from the last meeting, I got another meeting. So you can see, you very quickly add a meeting over the entire life of the year. And you know when it's gonna occur. It isn't this, okay, I gotta remember it's the first Monday, so I gotta look for that first Monday. I know 4 weeks from today I'm coming back.
Right, the only problem where that could jam us up is if it runs into a holiday or a
Right.
break, and then we have to adjust the schedule, and if we announce the schedule well in advance every 4 weeks, we have to go in advance and look and see if there's a holiday, and then we have to decide how to change that, but I mean, it's a valid point, but what I would ask is, just think about it, come up with something that makes sense, and we'll kick it around and get some ideas, and, you know, look at what other boards do, and other town committees or other districts, and we'll see what works, but, you know, realize too, and the only thing I would ask you is that when we have these meetings, some of our staff and administrators come to these meetings, and so we would have to just understand that there are gonna be sometimes we might not be able to get them till 11 o'clock. Twice.
Well, the goal would be,
Well, I understand.
I wouldn't want to
agree.
be here 2
I
meetings
know.
a month till 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
know.
goal here.
I was just being silly, but I can see their faces like I have to come again.
I want to ask one question. So when folks come to the meeting and add things to the agenda, is it a thing that just came up that day? Is it something that they could have said to you before the agenda came out, and it could have got put on the agenda? I know I sit on another board. If I want something put on the agenda, I know my deadline to send it to the chair, and it makes it on. So I never have to request things to be added to the agenda, because I would send it. And if I had something to be put here, I would probably send it to you a couple weeks in advance. What's the process
You
here?
know, send the request to the chair to have that.
Yeah,
I don't think that necessarily works. I've tried to get a bunch of things on, and they haven't. I mean, we're still supposed to be on our agenda to go over the strategic plan. That was approved at the strategic plan. We're supposed to review that. We had 2 things from last month that were supposed to be on this agenda tonight. And so stuff does not get on it. That's why I bring a lot of things on to the agenda, because they don't get on it.
You know, I was gonna agree with Sue at first, because, you know, adding things are important, but, you know, after Carol spoke, I do agree with Carol. I'm more in line with her point of view, is that it is so important that people know about it. And I was going to say that some of the things that have been added at the last minute at a meeting are very important things, like strategic plan and things like that. That shouldn't be something that important should not be just willy-nilly added to the agenda where people don't have advanced knowledge. And the board, people from the board can't do their own research, people from the community can't do their research and come. I don't think things like that should ever be added at a meeting, so if we need to meet more often, you know.
Can I just add? I think that, sometimes things are put on the agenda so that a decision can be made to meet with, talk about it at the committee meeting, or it can be to put it on next month's agenda so people can have, an opportunity to do the research they want to do. But I think what's of value here is that it's gotta get to the public light, and otherwise sometimes it falls falls through the cracks. And so sometimes it's not, and a lot of times, if it's something that the community needs notice to, it would be just to push it out to a next meeting. I mean, it's gonna happen. We can try to make it not happen. Maybe we have to we can try to put other things in place, but sometimes things do fall through the cracks, and that's why it happens. It doesn't make the people bad people because they're bringing it up. It makes them, like, this is things that is important to them, and maybe it is just to move it out to a next meeting, but it's on the agenda.
And in defense of putting an agenda together to try to get the business, there are requests sometimes that I have to be honest, I don't understand. I honestly don't understand the question. And so I'll go back and say, I really don't understand the question. However, is that something that should be discussed in the committee before it comes to the full board? And I will say this, I would strongly encourage, if you have a question about financial reports, or if you have a question about insurance, or if you have a question about curriculum or standards-based grading, and you want to get it on the agenda, I would strongly and respectfully request that you bring it to the committee first, because the committee reports come in, and when there's a recommendation from the committee, those items actually make it to the agenda, in addition to some unique requests. Tonight, I added an agenda item because I thought it was an urgent, critical item that I thought was important, that the board needed to be made aware of, and that is there. And it's not something that can be discussed with any committee. But I understand what you're saying. I will do my best to make sure that requests come in. Don't be insulted if I come back to you and say, I'm not sure I'm understanding the point, so that, because it's easy to say I want to have a discussion about something, but it's easy to have a discussion if there's not a recommended action. So it's like a discussion and possible action to do something. Otherwise, it's just a discussion. We can have a discussion, but we're here to do the business of the board when we come to this meeting, not just discuss. Discussions happen in committees, which come to recommendations, which come to the board. So that's kind of my thinking of how it should work. If you bring an item to the board that has not put it on the agenda, that has not been brought to a committee, it's really not fair to the committee, because basically you're signaling, well, geez, I really don't want to talk to the committee about this, because for whatever reason, it's more important that I bring it to the board. So, and it's not dismissing it's important, it's just a procedural item. I mean, it's not just as simple as putting something on the board, and maybe going to 2 meetings and will help put other things on the agenda. We do have to be aware of the time. Time is urgent, and I try my best to try to get us out of the times that we're restricted. So that'll be my New Year's resolution.
Or even if we limit things to action. I mean, I remember one meeting where there were 4 items that were possible actions, and that's.
Well, that's what I was saying, maybe that's an idea of doing just reports and discussions at one meeting, and then another meeting on action where all the recommendations are done at one report, and then 2 weeks later, we have another committee meeting another board meeting where we're taking action items, just solely action items on the recommendations of the items that we discussed at the last meeting.
I think it would be good to do what I think you said at one point, is find out what other districts are doing, because many districts do have 2 meetings a month, so how are they structured and why do they have 2? You know, I happened to go to a meeting at Cave at the Weathersfield office and was near Bloomfield and Bird, and he is very efficient how he runs things. And they actually put all their subcommittees on one night. They give them maybe half an hour each, and that's it, and you're done. But they meet very regularly, and they're very serious about it. And I'm not sure that would work for Rham, but I think it would be interesting to hear from districts that do have 2 meetings a month and how they structure and why. And then kind of, I think someone said with the retreat that how it works for the needs of this district, this 712 district, that's the regional.
Could we get a copy of the working agenda, like once a week, so we can, if every week we get what agendas, a working copy of agenda. So as it's developed over the month, we have some input into if we see something not on there. that we
I
want.
believe the agenda form is in the policy, and it's stated in the policy. So if there are action items, there are some that are critical of the business needs that are there, such as contracts and stuff, which came to the committee. But yeah, I'd love to get the agenda 2 weeks.
Well, the problem is, that we get an agenda and we don't have any time to change it. And I got, see these 3 items that were supposed to be on there from last meeting.
Yeah.
And it's too late to send that, so we have to add one at the meeting. So if have a working agenda, obviously it won't have everything on it, but at least it would be a starting point. About that.
Just as you're thinking about extra meetings in the fall, in the spring.
Retirement's looking really good.
I'll say that later. At the, if you think about meetings in the spring, don't forget the budget meetings, because those will be every Monday, and then we have engagements with.
Something at the first meeting.
Yeah, and I'll be getting the budget calendar out, and then we're looking at meetings with the boards of the other towns, so that's a second meeting. So, just be aware of that. And then, as one of the things we try to do, so there'd be some regularity, is schedule subcommittees on a certain day. I don't know if that's working. I don't know, I find myself.
I think that goes good
for
for
meetings
both
4 nights in one week. So I think that it cries for organization.
Yeah.
Bloomfield is serious about that. He is,
The only thing I'd say is if we do double the number of meetings, I think we should all support twice the salary for all of us, right?
Yeah.
I think we should set a time limit
I thought you were gonna say we should set a race.
for those 2 meetings.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
You have to, we're gonna go twice.
We
We
have
have
to.
to have boundaries. We stop with our business until next time, so. Okay, great. So think about it. We'll kick it around and we'll do our best in the upcoming year to straighten this out. All right, oh, so we need a vote. All those in favor of accepting these meeting schedule as proposed, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay, that brings us to item 9.5. I need a motion to authorize the chair to sign and approve a 2-year extension agreement with the firm of Michal, Accavallo, Woodbridge, and Casano LLC for the purposes of conducting the board's financial audit as the document is proposed under item enclosure 9.58. So moved. Is there a second? Second by Bruce. Any discussion?
I think the board, that the group that was in the paper, they're reinvestigating.
I didn't see the paper.
Didn't see that.
Are they the ones in the paper, James?
I don't know.
What district or what group? Please tell me before we vote.
The paper was out of Russia, so I'm not sure what the truth is now.
Good on, Tom.
Okay, all those in favor of authorizing the motion, say aye. Opposed, abstentions, motion passes. Okay, that brings us to item 9.6, discussion and possible action regarding selection of a board member retreat coordinator. I think we were looking at 2 options, NASDAQ and CAVE. Ms. Rappadia, you put this has to be on the agenda.
Oh, we did?
Yes. You need a preference over
My,
one?
my preference, and correct me if I'm wrong, CAVE, we already paid for CAVE, right, through our membership. So if we brought CAVE in for the retreat, it would be all inclusive, we won't have to pay any additional